Records at the World Cup aren't supposed to feel fragile. They're supposed to stand there for decades, untouched, untouchable, almost mythical. But 2026 isn't a normal World Cup. It's bigger, longer, and far more chaotic than anything we've ever seen before. And because of that, some of football's most iconic records are suddenly hanging by a thread. Take the total number of goals scored in a single tournament. For years, that number climbed slowly, carefully, like a record that respected its own history. Then came Qatar 2022 with 172 goals, the highest ever. Impressive, sure. But now, with the expansion from 64 to 104 games, that record doesn't just look breakable, it looks doomed. Even if this tournament somehow matches the lowest goals per game ratio we've seen in modern history, like the cagey defensive grind of Italia 90, it still comfortably sails past 172. And if things open up, if mismatches happen, if attacking football takes over, we could be looking at a number that feels almost ridiculous. The only thing stopping it from going completely off the charts is that one absurd outlier, 1954. A tournament so wild that Hungary alone scored 27 goals and Austria somehow beat Switzerland 7-5 in a knockout game. That wasn't football as we know it. That was chaos in boots. And yet, in a strange way, 2026 might be the closest we've ever come to seeing anything like it again. And where there are more goals, there's usually more drama. Which brings us to something a little darker: red cards. The 2006 World Cup still holds the record with 28, a number that feels oddly specific until you remember just how fiery that tournament was. It averaged almost a red card every other game, capped off by one of the most infamous moments in football history when Zinedine Zidane saw red in the final. Since then, no tournament has really come close. But here's the thing, they don't need to. With 104 games, the math shifts entirely. You don't need chaos on the level of 2006. You just need consistency, roughly one red card every 3 or 4 games, and suddenly that record is gone. Not in a blaze of controversy, but quietly, almost inevitably, over the course of a much longer tournament. And if the tournament itself is expanding, then so are the opportunities for individuals to rewrite history. Few records feel as iconic as Miroslav Klose's 16 World Cup goals. It's one of those numbers that has survived multiple eras, multiple generations of strikers. But now, for the first time in a long time, it genuinely feels under threat. Lionel Messi sits just 3 behind. Kylian Mbappe, remarkably, is only 4 away, and he's still likely to play in 2030. That's the scary part. Mbappe doesn't need a miracle, he just needs a normal tournament. In fact, if France go deep again, he could realistically break the record before even getting to the quarter-finals. And then there's the wild cards, Harry Kane and Cristiano Ronaldo both sitting on 8. They're further back, yes, but in a tournament that now allows up to 8 matches, a red-hot run isn't impossible, especially if early group stage mismatches turn into goal fests. Suddenly, a record that once felt untouchable starts to feel crowded. But goals alone don't define legacy at the World Cup. Sometimes it's about consistency across time. Cristiano Ronaldo has built his World Cup story on exactly that, scoring in 5 different tournaments from 2006 all the way to 2022. No one else has done it. And if he scores again in 2026, he extends that record even further into uncharted territory. Yet, right behind him is Lionel Messi, who has scored in 4 and has every chance of matching Ronaldo's 5. There's a poetic tension to it. 2 players who have defined an era, still chasing each other even in the twilight of their careers. And while Messi already holds the record for assists across 5 World Cups, this is one of the few areas where Ronaldo still has the edge. Whether that edge holds is one of the quiet subplots of the tournament.
Hey Goal 90 family, what's good? The World Cup season is here and you already know the vibes on this channel. So for everyone who's been rocking with us, Goal 90 Shop has World Cup jerseys for the whole squad. Men, women and kids. Whatever country you're repping, we've got ya. Home kits, away kits, clean classics and the loud ones. Instant match day energy. And it's love from us. Free shipping worldwide. Grab yours now and let's run this tournament together.
Then there's a record that almost doesn't make sense when you hear it. No player in history has ever won 2 golden boots at the World Cup. Not Pelé, not Ronaldo Nazario, no one. It feels wrong, doesn't it? That such a prestigious individual award has never been claimed twice by the same player. But now, 2 names stand right on the edge of changing that. Kylian Mbappe, who won it in 2022, and Harry Kane, who claimed it in 2018. Both are still central to their teams, both are still elite finishers, and both will likely lead the line again in 2026. In a tournament designed to produce more goals, more games, and more opportunities, this might finally be the moment that strange record disappears. History, though, isn't just about individuals. Sometimes it's about nations waiting, and waiting, and waiting. Italy's 44-year gap between World Cup titles, from 1938 to 1982, has stood as a symbol of how hard it is to reclaim the crown once you've lost it. But that record is now under serious threat. England are heading into 2026, marking 60 years since 1966, a number that already carries emotional weight. If they win, they don't just end the drought, they shatter the record, and they're not alone. Uruguay, champions in 1950, are staring at an even longer gap. These aren't just statistics, they're decades of expectation, frustration, and near misses. And if either nation goes all the way, they won't just be celebrating a victory, they'll be rewriting the very timeline of World Cup history. Of course, while some teams are chasing their past, others are building something far more immediate. France have quietly positioned themselves on the brink of another kind of history. They won the World Cup in 2018, reached the final again in 2022, and now have the chance to make it 3 consecutive finals, something only West Germany and Brazil have ever managed. That kind of sustained dominance is incredibly rare, especially in modern football where the margins are so fine. And yet, with a core of world-class talent and a player like Mbappe at the centre of it all, France don't just have a chance, they have momentum. And in tournament football, momentum can be everything. Speaking of longevity, one record that feels almost certain to move, in one direction or another, is the number of World Cup appearances. Lionel Messi currently holds the record with 26 matches. It's a testament to both his consistency and Argentina's deep runs across multiple tournaments. But here's where it gets interesting. Cristiano Ronaldo is only 4 matches behind. In a normal World Cup, that gap might feel safe. In a 104-game tournament with more knockout rounds, it suddenly isn't. If Argentina stumble early and Portugal go deep, we could see a late twist in one of football's longest-running rivalries. It would be fitting, in a way, for their story to take one more unexpected turn on the biggest stage. Not all records, though, are about longevity or consistency. Some are about sheer, overwhelming dominance. The biggest margin of victory in World Cup history stands at 9 goals, a number that feels almost untouchable in the modern game. Teams are better organised now. The gap between nations has closed, or at least that's what we thought. The expansion to 48 teams changes that equation. With more spots allocated to traditionally weaker confederations, the likelihood of mismatches increases. We've already seen qualifiers like New Zealand, Curacao, and others ranked outside the top 50 make it to the tournament. And while football has become more competitive overall, it only takes one bad day, one ruthless opponent, and suddenly that 9-goal margin doesn't feel so impossible anymore. And then there's time, the one opponent no player can truly beat. Or can they? Pepe set the record for the oldest goalscorer in a World Cup knockout game at 39 years and 283 days in 2022. It felt like one of those records that quietly slips into history. But now, all eyes turn to Cristiano Ronaldo. He's 41, and if he scores in the knockout stages, he doesn't just break the record, he becomes the first player ever to do it at that age. It would also, remarkably, be his first knockout goal at a World Cup. A strange gap in an otherwise complete career, waiting to be filled at the most unexpected moment. Meanwhile, Lionel Messi, already the oldest player to score a winning goal in a final, isn't far behind these age-related milestones either. Between them, they've spent years redefining what longevity looks like in football. This might be their final chance to take it even further. And that's really what makes the 2026 World Cup so fascinating. Some records will fall because the tournament demands it, others will fall because of individual brilliance, and a few might survive simply because history still has a sense of humour. But one thing is certain, when the final whistle blows in 2026, the record books won't look the same. How many of these records do you think will fall in a few months? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also be sure to turn on bell notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. See you next time. Bye.